Wife Material Podcast. Being a high quality woman. Right? Of course, there's the the idea of like high value man, high value woman type of concepts out there, but that's for obviously a different conversation. But the thing is, some people get confused is that you want to be a high quality person, right? That's first and foremost. You want to be a man. You want to be a woman. These are things that you earn. You become a man. You become a woman. You learn these things. These are titles that signify that you learned the best qualities of what makes the male species awesome, and you learned it, and now you're a man. Same goes for female, right? You learn all the good qualities that makes a female, awesome. You become a woman. Too many people are confused and think just because you have the male gender and the female gender, automatically that makes you a man and a woman. That's not true, because animals can be female or male, right? Plants can be male or female, right? And that's important to understand the difference. Being a man and being a woman is something you become. It's not something you're just born into. You're not born a man, you're not born a woman, right? Because the thing about being a man and being a woman is that it's exclusive to the human race, right? If a dog can't be a man. A dog can be male, a male dog, but it can't be a man. Just like, a female dog can be a female dog, but it wouldn't be a woman. That's the whole point. That's why it's so annoying to see people on the internet constantly throwing out the men this, women that. It's like incorrect. Because one, y'all using the word man and the word women in a negative context, which is not supposed to be used in a negative context, because being a man is what you're supposed to become, right? That's a good thing. Being a woman is what you're supposed to become. That's a good thing, right? Because that means you're mature. That means you overcame certain things like childish behavior, immaturities, right? You have more self-control, right? Men got more control of their emotions, and they focus and they double up on their logic, right? They get smarter. So that way they work smarter, not harder, right? They're always improving. Same goes for women, right? They understand their biology, right? They understand, their physical functions. They understand their limitations, right? Like physical strength limitations, for example. And if they choose to surpass that limitation, right, go to the gym and get stronger, great. We all support that, right? That makes you a superwoman, right? If you're actually putting in effort to be more than your limitations, right? This is why, you hear about the idea of men gotta be men this, men that, constantly being, promoted among men, right, or among the male species, is because of the fact that it's like, we know as males, is that we know we have to become something, right? We have to become a man. Otherwise, we would be useless, right? Men are useful. Therefore, that's why it's important to be a man. Men are, strong, smart, they're protectors, they're providers, they're problem solvers, right? They're builders, they're thinkers, they're creative, and they largely get motivated to do many things. One, amongst the male species, and secondly, because of the female species. A lot of what men do is because of the female species. We build things to protect the female species, like houses and castles, right, and office buildings. Society itself, the concept of everybody working together, helping one another, doing things, everybody having a job, right, having police officers, having mayors, having a government, having a military, firefighters and the doctors, and the list goes on. All these jobs are, that largely were dominated by men, is because we're the ones who were putting things together. We're the ones who built society. There was a time where there was no society. There was a time where it's just like every man and woman literally for themselves. And of course, women, smart thing for them to do is they don't want to compete with men, especially when men have the physical advantage. So they decided to cooperate, right? To work with men instead of against them, right? They were smart enough to see how men are against each other. When one man is in disagreement with another man, right? A male versus another male, and then sometimes violence ensues, in the primitive time. And the stronger one won, right? The stronger male typically won. And that was attractive for females. As well as that was what you want. It's like, well, yeah, I want to be with the winner. I don't want to be with the loser, right? I want to be a winner. But if I can't win myself, at least I want to be part of a winning team. That was the general mindset of late women, females in the past. Was like, if I can't beat them, I might as well join them, and I might as well join the best team, right? So I will be with this guy who's a king, and a lot of people follow him and listen to him and stuff like that. He's a leader. I want to be with him, right? Because everybody listens to him, everybody follows him. So his achievements are my achievements. It's the whole what's his is mine, what's mine is mine, type of concept, right? So that's why it's important, to keep them in mind. Is like, as a wife, right? That is one of the benefits, one of the things you definitely should expect in a marriage, right? Being a wife, is that your husband's, achievements become your achievements as well, right? Or you benefit from his achievements. If he gets a raise, right, aka he makes more money, then that means you're making more money. If people, think he's a great human being, by default, they should think you're a great human being, unless you're acting like a piece of shit, which you shouldn't be, right? Your behavior and your actions reflect on him and vice versa, right? If a lot of people look up to him and he's like, oh, he's an amazing guy, you better represent, right? Better show, the world that, yes, you are. Sing his praises, as they say. And of course, he should do the same for you. But you gotta give him the reason to. Because here's the thing: by default, men love to, give credit where credit is due. So they would love to, show you off, right? Let the world know how amazing you are. But you gotta give them something to brag about. They can't brag, about you when you give them very little to brag about. They can't say you're a great mother when you're a shitty mother, right? They can't say you're a great, the love of their life when you're shitty at loving them, right? If you're shitty in bed, that's gonna be a problem. If you're, you're shitty in the household, like as soon as he gets home, you're nothing but, nagging, and that's all you do is just constantly nagging. He's not going to brag about that, and the list goes on and on. So that's why it's important about being a high quality woman, right? Or just being a woman in general, is the idea of being friendly, right? Being a person who can get along with other people, right? You're the emotional part of the species, right? You're the emotional gender, which means you should be able to empathize better with people, empathize better with men, empathize better with other women, right? You should be able to get along. It should be easier for you to get along, right? You should be the happy gender, the positive gender, the one that's always about everything, it's gonna work out, everything's gonna be good, every problem has a solution, and so forth. You're constantly, positive, right? You bring positivity, right? You bring peace and love and respect, honor, and the list goes on and on. There's so many things that makes a woman is bringing stuff like that, You're right, emotional intelligence. A lot of females out there like to use the term emotional intelligence. then yes, bring the emotional intelligence into the relationship, right? I hate that, most females try to use the whole emotional intelligence term, which it's kind of that term is somewhat of a contradiction to me, but still, let's just go with the idea of emotional intelligence. They try to use it negatively against guys, right? Saying that guys lack emotional intelligence. And if the term emotional intelligence was an actual thing, that'd be incorrect. Guys are actually more emotionally intelligent because they understand emotions. They understand emotions. Most humans' emotions are more negative than they are positive. We have more words to refer to bad feelings than we have words to refer to good feelings. Therefore, whenever someone's emotional, and whenever we say stop being emotional, or you're getting too emotional, or females are emotional, we're saying it negatively because most emotions tend to be negative. We're not saying positively because most emotions aren't positive. When you're angry, that's not positive. When you're sad, that's not positive. When you're crazy, right, or you're scared, that's not positive. These are not positive emotions. These are negative emotions. Therefore, that's why when we say you're being emotional, that means you're expressing more negative emotions than positive. And we all know negative emotions lead to negative consequences, right? Negative results. That's why you shouldn't listen to your emotions, especially at least your negative emotions. You can listen to your good emotions, but even then, I will caution that you listen to your to logic, because this is why you hear a lot of females out there talking about like, oh, see, the thing is, guys lie and blah blah blah, and they be pretending to be a good guy, blah blah. It's like, which means you are using your feelings, and you're hearing what they're saying to hear feelings, right? To hear what them saying words that make you feel happy. And when they say things that make you feel happy, aka lies, women love lies because lies makes them happy, right? And happiness is a feeling, and it's a good feeling, so women want that, right? Females love that happy feeling. Of course, you're going to get quote unquote tricked, but the thing is, you weren't tricked. You tricked yourself. You heard a lie and it made you feel good. And instead of questioning it, instead of thinking like, I feel so good what he just said, he might be lying. You think by now females would have figured that out, right? They would have figured out like, he's saying some stuff that I like. He might be telling me what I want to hear. Yes, what you want to hear, so that way it makes you feel a certain type of way. Makes you feel happy. And when you feel happy, you'll do anything. Especially to keep being happy. To keep hearing those happy words. Those words that make you happy, right? It's your happy pill, right? It's your it's your drug of choice, right? It's guys saying things that make you happy, that makes you feel good, as they always say. That's the problem. That's how you got people on YouTube, on the internet, lying to women, right? Lying to females, telling them what they want to hear, telling them that they never made any mistakes. They're not bad at choosing men. They're not bad, right? Or I should say guys, because they don't really choose men. They tend to ignore men. The good men, the real men, tend to be in the friend zone. They're the ones who get ignored because the fuckboy is more fun. The bad boy is more fun because they make females feel good. See, a real man would tell you that you're not perfect, that you have flaws, will tell you what your flaws are, will tell you how to fix your flaws, right? Will give you advice. That's a real man. Will let you know that you're not on the right path in your own life, and they will tell you what's best for you so you can have a better life because they actually care. Guys who don't care will lie to you. You'll gain 10 pounds. You'll feel sick, right? And instead of the fuck boy or the bad boy telling you that maybe you should lose some weight because that's probably what's causing you to be sick. No, they'll be like, oh yeah, you look fine, you look beautiful, you're perfect just the way you are, and then you'll gain another 10 pounds, and you get even more sick. You tend to be more tired. You tend to not want to do much of anything. yet he won't tell you the truth. Because as long as he gets what he wants, right? As long as the fuck boy gets what he wants, which is to fuck, right? The bad guy, gets the attention and gets to probably use you for money, use you for booty, and then that's it, and just leave it at that. They don't care about your health, so they won't recommend for you to improve your health, to make sure that you are healthy. Ain't nothing wrong with being big, as long as you are healthy while you're big. As long as you have very little health problems, as long as you look good when you're big. If you don't look good big, then, you might want to try a different body type that best suits you. That's one of the issues, the whole body thing out here, is the idea of like, oh, if you're too big, that's a problem. If you're too small, that's a problem. It's because it depends on what best suits you. Some people have, thinner faces or smaller faces, so a smaller body would fit them better. Some people have bigger faces, so a bigger body would fit them. You just gotta try to be symmetrical, right? Think of geometry, right? Think of shapes. What shape do you want to be? You want to have an hourglass figure. You want to be pear-shaped, right? You want to be V-shaped, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that applies to guys as well, right? That because y'all do a lot of stuff with your hair and makeup, for example, and clothing, because y'all trying to look a certain way. So the thing is that the look has to be one more than for you. The way you look has to be for getting the attention of the people you want to be associated with, whether it be for relationship or not. So that's why we talk about like dress, what you wear. Don't be surprised that what you wear draws the wrong attention, right? Gets the wrong guys to approach you, right? So if you dress like a female that's only for the good times, right? Only good for fun, then don't be surprised that guys who are only looking for fun approach you. If you look like a wife, right? Has any female ever considered that? The idea of looking like a wife, without actually being a wife, but looking like a wife. Think about it. I'll make a podcast about that. I think I did one like that about looking like a wife, but I guess I'll do another one where I'm more specific. Give some tips on looking like a wife, right? Even when you're not a wife, so that way you could be chosen to be a wife, right? Because that's the thing. Most women don't dress, right? Most females don't dress to look like a wife, right? Because there's certain looks. Like, you can tell when someone's a soccer mom, right? Because there's a certain look. You can tell when someone is a very single because they have a certain look, and the list goes on. It's like there are uniforms, as we like to use the term, uniforms. There's uniforms that fits certain types of people, right? If you're a gothic, there's a specific look, right? If you're a nerd, there's a specific look, right? If you're a businessman, there's a specific look, and the list goes on, right? If you're a clown, well, we know what that uniform looks like, right? If you're a lady of the night, we know what that looks like. And ironically, we see that uniform a lot out here in modern day times. That look used to be very rare back in the day because it wasn't a thing that people, you should be looking like. There's dressing elegant, then there's dressing down, there's dressing casual, there's dressing professional, the list goes on and on. So, obviously you want to look, presentable. If you're interested in being a wife, how you look is one of those many things, right? The thing about hips, right? Your body size, right? Your body type, hips, tend to, especially if you have nice thick hips, wide hips, that tends to be, other than being aesthetically appealing to guys, it triggers our mating thought process, right? Our instincts, our mating instincts of like, oh, okay, she can carry, a baby or twins. Since you have wider hips, being able to carry, multiple offsprings at one time is highly possible with a wider hips. And then there's obviously some other, aspects of your body that, catches guys' attention, right? Especially if it's for the purpose of mating and longevity in a relationship, right? Compromising, caring, right? It's important to be caring, right? It's important to be, to care about other people, to show concern, right? To know when someone, needs advice and this and that. It would be nice if women, females, I should say, can learn how to, be able to give advice, right? To be able to help guys through certain things, right? When it comes to the idea of stress, for example, we always have the usual recommendation when it comes to helping a guy relieve stress tends to be of the sexual nature. But sometimes, even encouraging words, even gestures, right? Even gestures, just catering, pampering, whatever term you want to use to your man, it shows you care. Obviously, if he's sick, taking care of him, helping him with his health. If he needs to diet, help him with his diet, right? Keep him on track, right? Encourage him, right? Because you care, right? Caring is sharing, right? I mean, sharing is caring, right? So, being a caring person, a human being that cares a lot about other people's happiness, a lot about other people's, existence, right? If you're going to be with somebody, with another human being, you should care about the other human being. You should care about their health, their physical, mental, even emotional, right? You definitely don't want a very emotional man. You don't want to be with a man who's very emotional, because I've already mentioned that emotions tend to be negative. And you don't want a negatively emotional man, because negative emotions, especially in a man, can translate to violence. And you don't want that. Nobody wants that. So that's why men gotta control their emotions, because then they'll just turn into the Hulk, right? Where they'll smash everything. And you don't want that, right? Both men and women have the capacity for creating things, but also have the capacity for destroying things, right? We have the capacity for good, but we also have the capacity for evil, which is why it's important that we have more control of ourselves emotionally, right? Physically. That's where health comes in, right? Taking care of your body, exercising, food, and stuff like that. Things you need to do as a human being, right? We created the comforts of, chairs, offices, right? Being able to work while sitting down, right? To be able to do things while sitting down, right? But we humans are meant to be moving. We're designed to move. That's why we got legs and arms and, whatnot. And we designed to stand upright instead of, on all four legs, right? Or, that kind of stuff. So we bipedal for a reason. So we're supposed to be moving around. We're supposed to spend a large majority of our time standing, which requires a lot of strength, a lot of muscle for that, a lot of energy for that, which is why we're supposed to eat healthy, be more physically active, move around, right, and do things, which is why it's a good idea that, every, let's say every 30 minutes or so, or even every hour, get up and walk around for a bit, especially if all you're doing is just sitting and thinking. Might as well stand up and walk around and think. You don't need to sit to think, right? You're just using your brain, so might as well walk around so you can use your body as well. If you're just gonna be on your phone for like hours and hours on TikTok, walk around at least. You know what I mean? Just walk around your neighborhood on your phone. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, be cautious. Try to keep your peripherals focused, so that way you can see danger around you. But other than that, I mean, you could just go in your backyard. I've done that many times. I just go like in my backyard and just walk around, thinking, or I just be on my phone, probably listening to like a podcast or something, and just be walking around, getting some exercise, like getting some physical activity. Compromising, being selfless is very important, right? But compromising, the importance of compromising because you're not always going to get your way, right? Things are not always going to go as according to plan, right? Sometimes you gotta change plans. Sometimes, you gotta make things work, and that's another thing. It's like, if you want something to work, you gotta put in the effort to make it work. The idea of like, oh no, it should just work. Relationships should just work magically. It doesn't work that way, because because you have to remember, relationships are not too different, right, from friendships. It's not too different from family, right? If you get along with your, family members, since I'm speaking to women, right? Clearly, if you have brothers, right, or male, in your family, if you get along with them, you should be able to get along with any guy out there. You definitely should be able to get along with your husband if you're good with getting along with guys at work, guys, your family, right, your brothers and stuff, cousins, right? If you can get along with them, you should be able to easily get along with your husband, right? Y'all should have a lot in common anyway, so that way y'all can relate, y'all can understand each other. That's another thing, is communication is important. Sometimes communication is not always direct. It's not always like words being said. Sometimes just knowing your partner through their actions. They act a certain way, what they're trying to communicate. Body language is important. Understanding body language, right? Understanding certain feelings. Women being, with the whole emotional thing, right? Being emotional, right? Or understanding emotions, at least their own emotions. They should be able to recognize other people's emotions. Be able to recognize if a man is sad or happy, or scared or stressed, right? You should be able to pick up on that real easily, and you should be able to help, right? Cope, as some people like to use that term, cope. Help them cope. Help them deal with it. You should be able to help your man deal with his emotions. Not express it. No, deal with it, right? Be able to make sure that the emotions don't control them. Make sure they control the emotions. You definitely don't want your man, right, your husband, to be controlled by his fear. And the reason he doesn't do things is because he's afraid. Oh, I'm afraid of asking for a raise, because what if they fire me? Well, that's unfortunate if they do, but if they do, F them. Go get a better job elsewhere. Making more money anyway, right? They don't appreciate you, and they're willing to fire you over asking for a little bit more money. Then just go find something better, right? So that's, it's important to, just understand this. Like, yeah, you need to make sure you help your man be a man sometimes. Sometimes a man can forget, right? To be a man, because again, being a man is not about the male gender. That's part of it, right? Right? To be a man, to become a man, typically you gotta be of the male species, and then you become a man through life experiences and life lessons and stuff like that, right? Just like you become a cop, right? You become a lawyer, you become a doctor. No one's born, these types of professions. Right? No one's born the president of the United States of America, right? You become these things. Same thing as being a man, same thing as being a woman. You become these things, right? You're female by gender, you're male by gender, yes, because you were born with that biology. But when it comes to, being social, being a man, being a woman is a social thing, right? It's something you become. You learn to become a man. You learn to become a woman. And you are supposed to be the example of what everybody else is supposed to become, right? If you're a good man, every guy should want to be a good man. If you're a good woman, every female, right, should want to be a good woman, right? That's why we have, the bad guy, bad girl terms to signify that those are the path you don't want. You want good guys, good women, right? And being a man and being a woman is by default supposed to be a good thing. It's supposed to be ideal. You're supposed to become those things. Just like Adam and Eve, right? Man and woman, right? The first man, the first woman. That's why they were referred that way, right? The first man, first woman. You're supposed to, try to become the best you can be. So being a woman is the best version of yourself. Being a man is the best version of yourself as a male. But you're not a man or a woman unless you earn it. You have to earn it, right? Just like being a CEO of a company, you gotta earn that position, right? You're not born to have that position. You're not entitled to it. You have to earn it. And so, back to the whole idea of compromising. It's like, you gotta compromise. Sometimes you can't get things, the way you want, so you gotta make it work. You gotta figure out ways to, make a win-win scenario. Because most people are so selfish, they want a win-lose scenario where they win and everybody else loses. And that's not good, especially not in a society. In a society, it's all about everybody benefiting, everybody winning. And granted, modern day society ain't perfect. You got a lot more winners. You have very few winners and a lot of losers. Obviously, there's an imbalance, but that's just it can happen, right? That dynamic of more losers than winners can happen, but that's the reason to put in effort to tip the scales so that way they can be more of a balance. Have more of the losers become winners. Same thing as when we tell guys to improve themselves, right? Improve themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, right? Control your emotions. Don't let your emotions control you, right? And get your money right? Get your life right? Money lets you do things, right? Money itself is not important. It's what you do with it that's important. So if you use money to, get yourself healthy, get your, if you need therapy, get your mind right? Go get some training, right? Learn something, learn self-defense so you can protect yourself, right? So forth, right? Learn skills that you can use to make money, right? So you can keep doing other things, right? Let's say you like art, then put money towards doing art or towards doing a podcast or a TV show or something, whatever, right? Whatever you want to do, put in the effort to do so. And money is just, is part of that. Just like, for women, it's the same thing. It's like, it's great that y'all ladies have the opportunities to make money, and y'all definitely have way more opportunities to make money, or let me rephrase that, to get money than most guys. So that's a advantage you have, and you should, use it. Take advantage of the advantage you have, but then use it to make the world a better place. Use it to do better, to be better, to, get a man, a good man, and live happily ever after. You have that option. You have that choice. You should be trying to vet guys more, right? You should be asking guys more questions to make sure that they are worthy of your time. You shouldn't be out here believing lies. It's so crazy to just keep seeing over and over again on the internet females complaining about, but guys lie. They deceive us. But in the same, in the same sentence or the same comment section, right, we'll be talking about how, smart and strong women are, and independent, and women can do what men do, you can do it better type stuff, and women are better than men, or all this other extra stuff. Or men are dumb, women are smart, that kind of stuff is like, really, but that don't make much sense, because you said men lie, and you clearly believe the lies, which doesn't sound smart. Doesn't sound smart to believe lies, to be tricked. Doesn't sound like you're smart if you're tricked or lied to and you believe it. That sounds the opposite. That sounds the behavior of somebody who's not smart. So the whole idea of saying that you're smart, you're clever, you're smarter than a man, you're better than a man, but say that men, lie to you, trick you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's one of the many issues we have out there. The contradiction. You can't say y'all awesome, but then say y'all not awesome at the same time, right? You talk about yourselves being perfect, but then be quick to be like, oh, we're not perfect. We get tricked by the Pookies and Ray Rays. We get tricked by the bad boys. It's like, no, you don't get tricked by the bad boys. You choose the bad boys. You know the difference between a bad boy and a good man. The first thing is, a bad boy seems very fun, right? Seems more interested in having fun. as opposed to being responsible, taking care of business first, business then pleasure. A fun boy, a fuck boy, right? A Pookie and a Ray Ray care more about fun than business. So they tend to spend more of their time having fun than they are taking care of business, taking care of responsibilities. But since girls just want to have fun, right, like that song, since females want to have fun, well, of course they're going to choose the Pookies and the Ray Rays, right? Because they're fun. They're going to pick the fuck boys because the fuck boys are fun. The fuck boys are having fun and they want to have fun, so of course they're going to want to get involved, right? Because they make you feel good. They make you feel happy. Being responsible, being an adult, taking care of business, making sacrifices like giving up certain things that you like just so you can do the right thing, that tends to be very boring. That tends to be not fun. And most females don't like things that aren't fun, like being responsible and accountable, and even work. They don't like to work. Humans in general, not just females, but humans in general don't like to work. Men don't like to work, which is why we're constantly telling, guys in general, you gotta work. Women ain't gonna want you if you don't work, right? You ain't shit if you don't work. You gotta work, right? There's a reason for that, because if a guy does nothing with his life, then he has no life. And if he has no life, then he has no wife, right? Common sense. So that's why we keep telling them to get their shit together, so that way they can be, useful to a woman, right? And be able to take care of a woman, right? So that's where the whole husband and wife thing comes in. But the opposite, is like women. It's like you gotta love a man, right? You gotta appreciate him, appreciate the life that he built. And that's the thing. If you don't like the lifestyle of a average man, right, then don't waste an average man's time, right? If you don't like the fact that a guy makes, is a plumber or is a janitor or something like that, and that's his lifestyle, right? That's how he makes his money, and his money, influences his, his life choices. Then okay, then don't bother him. Don't waste. It's important, it's important to understand, how very important your interactions with a man is for, him, but also for society. Most people in general, both male and female, tend to not grasp or even understand or even know the importance of society, especially with the fact that men are the one who initially created it, and they're also the ones who manage and run it. And guys in general, right, are not against the idea of females, right, women, being involved in a lot of what helps society function, because you already had certain positions. You already had certain things that y'all were tasked to do to help provide for society. We have no problem if you want to do more. If you want to do more, that's fine. The problem that comes in is when you don't want to do what you normally did, right? The stuff that was beneficial to society, something that's important to society, right? Because in order for society to function, everybody has to pitch in. Everybody has to do their part, right? Just like kids are supposed to go to school and get their education, right? Learn how to, learn, so that way when they get older, they can use that knowledge that they already gained, as well as the skills they learned on how to learn, how to read, how to write, all that stuff, how to do book reports, right? How to do research and stuff like that, how to Google and stuff. and then they can apply those things when they get older, and then they can, become president or be a lawyer, doctor, whatever. And they can do stuff, whether they're male or female. The thing is that, as a male and as well as a female, we have certain biological contributions to society that we're supposed to live up to. Even if you don't want to do it multiple times, right? Or even if you don't want to do it at all, right? If you don't want to have kids, that is fine. That just means you just don't want to contribute to the longevity of the human race. That's all that means. You don't want to have kids? Okay, that means you don't want to contribute to keeping the human race, lasting another 1,000 years. All right, that's fine. Hopefully there's many other people who, are willing to contribute to that, willing to contribute to the future. This is why it's important to have a 2-parent household and have a husband and wife, right? Get together, make kids, and raise them. That's part of the importance of the husband and wife dynamic, is that y'all going to deliberately make children and deliberately teach them how to function in society, so that way we can keep society going. Because if not, we'll just go backwards and go back to the way things used to be, where every man and woman for themselves. Right now, you have that scenario happening where everybody's being an individual, and women are, females are mainly the ones, promoting this idea, through feminism, the constant idea of strong, independent, don't need no man. We're getting back into this, basic individualism, and it's like, yep, we're going backwards. We're supposed to be moving forward. We're supposed to be better at the, relationship aspect of, our existence, right? We exist to eat, sleep, and reproduce. These are our basic functions: eating, sleeping, reproducing. These are our most basic functions that we share as humans. That's our most basic functions. Even animals share these basic functions with us. And you don't see them trying to, you don't see, tigers with feminism. You don't see fishes with feminism. You don't see none of that, right? You don't see the idea of, the male and female species of animals, constantly going at each other. They tend to cooperate and work together because they survive better that way. And that's an important aspect that most people forget, is that we're on this planet, and this planet is very dangerous. There's a lot of dangers around. There's a lot of things on this planet that can kill you. And humans, it's not that hard for humans to die. So, if we work together, we survive. United we stand, divided we fall. And the problem is that we're starting to divide, which is why it's important to teach these old lessons, right? The tradition, right, of being a woman, being a man, being a wife, being a husband, right? Being a family, being parents, raising kids and stuff like that. It's important to get back to teaching that, right? Teach the history of that. Whether you choose to be a wife or not, or a husband or not, that's up to you, right? If you want to be part of it, right? If you want to be part of the solution, so be it. But right now, a lot of people are choosing to be part of the problem, right? With selfishness, individualism. A lot of the reason why we have stuff like war, we have people murdering each other and stuff like that, is because of selfishness, individualism, thinking you're more important than anyone else. So what you want and what you care about is more important than everybody else, as if your life is unique or special, when your life is not unique or special. It's everybody's sharing the same air as you, the same planet as you, the same ups and downs as you. Everybody's sharing the same day as you, same week, same year, same neighborhood. You'll literally have somebody in the same neighborhood of a whole bunch of people who are doing good with their lives, and they're out there complaining, being like, life is hard. Your life is hard because you are not trying to do what everybody else is doing that makes their lives better. They're doing better than you because they're putting in the effort. They're working together. They're helping each other do better. You're the only one that's trying to be doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing, and then complaining that you're getting a different result in life than everybody. Well, duh, that's how that works. When you do the opposite of what everybody else is doing, of course, you're going to get opposite results. Just like if you're not picking the right guy, to live happily ever after with, well, of course you're not going to live happily ever after, because you picked the wrong guy, which is why you need to do better at picking. At least do better at picking. Because it's easy to be lazy and be like, nah, guys in general just need to be perfect. They need to be amazing and great. So that way I don't have to pick the best guy or find the best guy for me. Any guy should be the best guy for me. It's like, no, that's not how it works. That implies that, things are perfect in life, and you already know that life ain't perfect. You're not perfect. The world is not perfect. Existence is not perfect. Everybody's not perfect. So expecting any guy you get in a relationship with to be the perfect guy, that's delusional. That's ignorant. Because you should know better. You know that nothing is 100% perfect. The idea is to try to find something good enough. It's not about finding the perfect guy to be with. It's finding a guy who's good enough to be with. A guy who's acceptable. A guy who's decent enough. That's why I pointed out before in my other podcast episodes of like, if you want a guy who's in good shape, well, get a guy who's not in good shape and then encourage him to get in good shape. If he cares about you enough, right, he will do it. Right? If he wants to be with you and your requirement is that he needs to, improve his body, he's more likely going to do it. Because what he gets out of doing that, what he gets out of, working on his body is to be with you and access to your body. That's only fair. You want him to improve his body, right? What's the purpose of him improving his body if you're not going to get to use the benefits of that improvement, right? Fair is fair. You want him to have a better body, then make sure you also have a better body. A body of his preference. I mean, if he likes skinny women, okay, that's his preference. If he likes big women, that's his preference. To each their own. The point is that, find that which works. There's a lot of women out here that are plus size that, want guys to want them, but it's like, the thing is there's a lot of guys who do want you as a plus size woman, but you ignore them. You keep chasing the guys who actually prefer thinner women, but you're not willing to be a thinner woman for that guy that you want. So you want a certain type of guy, but he wants a certain type of woman, right? A certain type of female, but you're not willing to give him that female. You want him to change his preference to fit you. Think about how delusional and ignorant that is. You want him to change his mind and choose you instead of him being himself. You want him to accept you as you are, but you're not willing to accept him as he is. And if he is a guy who prefers thinner women, then that means he should only be messing with thinner women. Just like if you only like guys who are 6 feet tall, then you should only mess with guys 6 feet tall. Stop messing with guys under the age of, under the size of, under 6 feet, right? And, causing them, nothing but trouble, right? Getting pregnant by them and then complaining. And it's like, but you shouldn't been messing with them in the first place. If your preference is, a guy of a certain height, then you should only be messing with a guy of that height. If you mess with any guy less than what you prefer, less than your preference, right, your standard, then that just shows that, one, you don't really have a standard if you don't follow it, or your selfishness, your selfish instinct won't let you limit yourself to your standard. You believe in your standard, like you believe that that's what you want, that you like what you like, but whenever the opportunity presents itself, you'll take whatever you can get. So you'll take a guy who's 5'2", even though your preference is 6'2". But then you'll complain that the guy who's 5'2", wasn't quote unquote good enough for you, but you chose that person. right? It's because you wanted something because you wanted it, not because it really made sense. It's one of the many issues we see online that we keep pointing out and correcting females on. Is like, if you like certain types of guys, then only interact and mess with those types of guys. Stop messing and interacting with other guys, and definitely stop trying to use them. Stop trying to take advantage of guys who are under your preference. Let's say your preference is 6 feet. Stop taking advantage of guys who are under that. Stop treating guys under 6 feet like they're toys, right? Like they're objects, right? Stop objectifying them, right? You don't like the idea of being objectified. Don't you become a hypocrite and objectify them. Use them for their money and not care about them. That's very ignorant, right? Definitely don't be cheating on guys if you hate the idea of guys cheating on you. It's like, don't be a hypocrite. That's all I'm really trying to say. Don't be a hypocrite. So that's the thing about being a high quality woman, not being a hypocrite. Being selfless instead of selfless than selfish. Selfish is not a good character trait, but it is a common trait that we see a lot when it comes to females, and it makes sense because men are more selfless than they are selfish. So it makes sense that women would be more selfish than selfless. So that way we have symbiotic relationship. Since you want stuff and we like to give stuff, right? The whole provider thing, then opposites attract, right? Since you like to receive things, we like to give, right? That's why our biologies even function that way, right? You receive what we have, right? In our pants. So that's how that symbioticness works. You get pregnant from us giving you something. So that's why it's understandable that you're selfish, but don't be too selfish that you don't appreciate, when a guy is being selfless and is being, a provider, is being, caring. That's why it's disrespectful to try to take away one of the things that men is, bring to the table, right? Is providing, is giving you stuff, is having money and sharing it with you. When you come up to them like, oh, I don't need your money, I got my own money, that's very disrespectful. Because now you're taking away one of the many things that, I bring to the table. Now you're trying to take money off the table. But here's the thing, you don't respect anything else that I have on the table, or anything else I bring, or anything else a man brings when you take away one of the things that we have on our table. Money being one of those things. Because money lets us do a lot of things. Money lets us, fix problems, right? Helps us get, things we need, things we want. So money is very useful. And money in a man's hand is very useful because it allows him to do the things that a man, is really good at doing. He can do more with money, right? A good man with money is better than a bad man with money, right? A bad man with money is going to be more bad. A good man with money is going to be more good. Money just enhances, the capabilities and characteristics of whoever wields the money. So a good man with money is going to do great things. A bad man with money is going to do a lot of bad things, obviously. That's why you hear about, like, terrorism. Terrorism is not free. Clearly those bad men with money and did terroristic things. And of course there's, same goes for women. Women can be bad as well, obviously. That's why we have female prisons and male prisons, right? Humans are humans. But it's really important to really try to do better and become better. We want to be a high quality woman. High value woman, that's a totally different classification. That tends to be more for like some, female CEO, female president, that kind of stuff. That's high value. But most women in general, right, most females in general, can become at least high quality. Just like most men can become high quality. High value is a totally different topic. So, improve yourself, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, right? You should be able to get along with everybody. You should be very sociable, that people want to be around you, that men want to marry you, right? Because you bring a lot of awesome qualities to the relationship on top of like anything you physically can do, right? So real men, right, love strong, smart women. I know as women, females don't mention smart anymore. They'll say they're strong and independent, and or they're educated, and they use those two words. Independent, educated, as a way to avoid saying, smart, because smart is questionable and smart can be easily be disproven. But educated is hard to disprove. Like, you could be educated and still be dumb, but still be educated. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can have a college degree, but still, be, average intelligence, right? Not just because you have a college degree doesn't mean you have an above average intelligence. You're not Albert Einstein just because you have a college degree, right? Even Einstein, if I'm right, he didn't graduate from college, so that lets you know that being smart is not having a degree in a college degree does not correlate to high IQ. But you have a smartphone, use it to get smarter, right? And that'll be the end of the podcast.